Okay, right now we're going to draw this pyramid. Before we draw the pyramid, we have to measure the pyramid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the widest part. The widest part is towards the bottom. So I'm going to put the tip of the pencil at the far left side. I'm going to slide my thumb to the far right side. Once I feel I have the width, I'm going to count how many times the width counts into the height. 1, 2. I say 1.5 because it feels like the point of that form is about midway between the tip of my pencil and my thumb. So again, that's the width, and then I count. I could count from the top to the bottom, or I could count from bottom to the top, doesn't matter. 1, and just always remember where the tip of the pencil ends up. This is the object that we chose to draw. It's a 1 to 1.5 ratio. So whenever I have a ratio, you want to start off with the short side first. The short side is the horizontal line. So it doesn't matter how big you make a horizontal line. I'm just going to make one about this big because I know I can fit this on the paper if I times that by 1.5. I put 2 points here. It's easier for me to make this 1.5 times its size. So I'm going to put the tip of the pencil at that point. I'm going to slide my finger down to the other point. I'm going to count one side up, and I always just kind of mark where the tip of the pencil was. I know that's a 1 to 1 ratio. Now I have to put a half of a mark on top. So what I do is I cut this in half. I visually cut it in half. If I want to double check myself, I can see if one side is equal to the other. It's pretty close. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a half mark and I'm going to add it to the top. And I mark it up there. So what I have is 1.5 times its width for the height. And that's pretty much what measuring is. It's just basically finding that original ratio. And after that you can start breaking down this form into its true pyramid. Height versus width, verticals and horizontals. That's what you should start off with every object and break it down from geometry. Next thing I want to know is where this point is. From when I measured it, it appeared that the point was here, but I'm going to have to measure and see how many times the short side counts into the long side. Same concept. However, I moved my object, and I'm going to go from memory now. But if I were drawing this from observation, I would have counted 1, 2, 3 to 1, 2, 3, and I would make sure that that same count is on the object that I'm drawing, 1, 2, 3. And if it isn't, then I would just adjust this point. Once I have that point, now I need to start to sight. Now, sighting angles. Sighting angles does not mean that you're going to measure anymore. That's called rule of thumb, where you slide your thumb up and down. What sighting is where you hold your pencil at the very end of the end of the pencil, and you're trying to sight the angles that you see there at the bottom. There's an angle here, and there's an angle here. I'm sighting the angles. Now, when I hold a pencil, I can't go in space like I am now, because there is no third dimension on your drawing. You're only drawing in 2 dimensions. That's height and width. There is no depth. So, like the propellers of an airplane, you have to hold this pencil parallel to your chest, and then you'll get that accurate line. And also I want you to think about this as a clock. A couple metaphors you can consider. Right now I'd say this would be 3 o'clock. I'm sorry, this would be 9 o'clock, and I guess this would be 10 o'clock. Okay, now that I've sighted my angles, what I'm going to do now, I know that this is horizontal line. I know this horizontal line would go towards 9 o'clock. This is 3 o'clock. I said one's around 10 o'clock, which I would assume is around there. So I'm going to put in that angle. The other angle is a little bit more dramatic. It went more towards, I'd say, between 1 and 2 o'clock, something along the lines of that. Okay? So this is how I would sight my angle. Now, whenever you draw a pyramid, that center point, this point right here, is always going to be in the center. If I drilled the hole straight down here, it would come through right at the bottom there. So all I have to do is find the center at the top here, and I could measure to see if it's equal on both sides, which it's not. I'm going to adjust. See if this is equal on both sides. Perfect. Alright, so this is my center. I'm going to make that a little bit more clear. And all I'm going to do now is where this line intersects this line, I'm going to make a point. Where this line intersects this line, I will also make a point. And I'm going to connect this point, and that point to this point. And I instantly should have a pyramid, just as I see it. Bam. If I want to draw this as if it's transparent, I can apply intuitive perspective towards it. Now, if this line goes in that direction, there's going to be a line that's going to converge towards it, just like that. If this line goes in that direction, there's going to be a line that converges towards it, just like so. And if you look here, that would be the center, or that would be where those two lines intersect, and you can connect that to the point. So now this pyramid has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. Okay?